With the 15th pick and with the 26th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Washington Redskins select Dwayne Haskins, Montez Sweat.
Welcome, all my fellow Redskin brethren and sistren. I am your man and resident Redskins fan, Lou. Thank you for joining me here on the Redskins Report. So recently, I've had a few people hit me up on the same subject matter, and I was going to dismiss it at first. And then there was an article that was written, and we'll get to that in a second. But the topic at hand was, do you think Trent Williams would come back if Bruce Allen was no longer here as team president? My man JP, as a matter of fact, hit me up on Twitter about 3-4 days ago and asked me that very same question. And my response to him was, under no circumstances will Trent Williams ever play for the Washington Redskins again. Like, to me, it's a non-issue. It's dead. He wants out. It's over. That was my thought process. And then comes the Les Carpenter piece in the Washington Post. I don't know if you had a chance to read it. It's pretty lengthy. It details Trent and what he's been up to pretty much this entire season, being out and you know, kind of all the emotions that he's gone through since, you know, being out, then coming back, and then having the Redskins pretty much send him back home, and him kind of going through everything that has run through his mind throughout this whole entire ordeal. He absolutely unloaded on Bruce Allen once again. And you remember when he came back and did the interview at his locker, he wouldn't really say Bruce Allen's name, but you knew who he was alluding to, okay? We all can connect the dots. We knew who he was talking about. We knew who he was blaming. And in this situation, Bruce Allen has been public enemy number one. Now, we know the medical staff was negligent, or according to Trent, was negligent in the way they handled his situation, and there wasn't enough sense of urgency. But the guy that he's blamed the most for all of this has been Bruce Allen, and he absolutely unloaded on him in this Les Carpenter piece for the Washington Post. So again, if you haven't read it, I implore you to go and read that article to give you a little bit more clarity and even more, I guess, some more information and a little bit more of a deep dive into the mind of Trent Williams and how he feels and how he perceives this situation to have gone and who's at fault and why he really doesn't want to play for the Redskins anymore. But so the question that I asked is, you know, could Trent actually be back in a Redskins uniform? Now, I told you, when my man JP asked me this on Twitter about 3 or 4 days ago, I pretty much shot him down immediately. Like, hey, look, man, like, it's a dead issue. I don't even really need to address this with you. But no, he's not coming back. It's over. Let it go. Let's just trade him and move on. After reading this article, I will put it at a 3% chance. It was at 0 for me. 3% chance. And nothing in this article states that Trent wants to don the burgundy and gold again. But I will say this. The guy that he has all that vitriol for is Bruce Allen. The guy that he can't stand, wants nothing to do with, is Bruce Allen. Now, I think he is a little disappointed in Daniel Snyder and some of this, because Dan owns the team, and if Dan really wanted to stand up and bang the table for Trent, he could. But he allowed Bruce Allen to run amok with the situation, and that's how we got to the point where we're at right now. So I think he is a little disappointed, but I don't think he's upset. I think he's more disappointed than upset with Daniel Snyder, but that's nor here nor there. The bottom line is, after reading this story, and there are some really devastating quotes in there, and again, if Trent never plays another down for the Washington Redskins, all right, and right now I have that at a 97% chance that happens. He never plays another snap for the Redskins. They ultimately trade him in the offseason, wash their hands clean of this situation. Trent gets to move on, they part ways, and we keep it moving. But if he never plays another down, the most important block that he may make on the way out may be helping us pave the way of this Bruce Allen car wreck. Okay, he may be paving the way for us for a 97-yard touchdown run away from Bruce Allen. He may make the most critical block to spring us free of Bruce Allen. Okay, so he may never wear the burgundy and gold again. We may never see 71 with Williams on the back again, but he may leave us with one final pancake block that springs the way for a massive touchdown that we all want to celebrate. And so I don't know if he'll ever play for the Redskins again. Again, I'm putting it at 3% chance he ever dons the burgundy and gold again. And if you read this article and some of this stuff, I don't believe. Like he said that, that I believe the whole helmet was uncomfortable thing. I don't think he ever intended on playing again. He says in this article that Bill Callahan had a special helmet ordered that was a little bit more spongier that was supposed to arrive on Monday, and that the Redskins had until Tuesday before they had to make a decision on whether to put him on that non-football injury list that they ultimately put him on. And he said the helmet was going to be there the day before. They didn't even give him a chance to try it on. Instead, they put him on that list on Thursday before the helmet even got there, 4 days before the helmet even got there. So he knew that they were not sincere in wanting him to be back. And so, he talked about that situation and said he would have played had this helmet felt comfortable. I don't believe that. For 1 second. I don't think he wanted to play. I don't think his intentions were to come back and play this season, but I'll take him at face value if that's what he says. Okay, fine. You wanted to come back and play. He said he wanted to do it for his brothers and the guys in that locker room. I do think he misses those guys. All right. Anytime you're in a locker room setting like that, or if you've ever played team sports, you know the bond that you share with the guys in that locker room. Even if it's basketball and it's only 12 of you, or it's football and it's 50 of you, or it's baseball and there's 20 of you, there's a bond that goes on that it's hard to break. And so I understand where he's coming from that standpoint. But he also talked about Bruce Allen, and, he said, I'm not some dog you can slap the shit out of, and the next day I'm going to come back wagging with my tail, begging for mercy, essentially, and begging for you to take me back. Like, that's how he feels, and he said, look, Bruce Allen feels like he can just hold money over the head of black athletes. Like we're going to come begging back to be on the roster because you've got this money that we want. And he said, I'm over that. I'm done with him. He's a horrible man. He's a horrible business person. And he said, look, in what industry, in what business, find me one where a guy with a record, the likes of Bruce Allen, which is like 62, 93 and 1, show me a guy that has his job with 10 years of futility like a Bruce Allen in a major corporation or organization. Show me where that guy exists. And so he was calling out Bruce Allen, and he said, it feels like the Redskins he said, you wanted to feel like we were on that road to success, to finally breaking through. But he said, I don't think the Redskins are on a road. Feels like they're on a track. All right, and it's in a circle, and they're just going around and around that track, and they're repeating the same things over and over again. Every time I thought we were on the cusp of breaking through, we'd be back rebuilding the very next year. And he said, you don't have to look any further than guys that have come through this locker room that the Redskins drafted that were talented, that they've allowed to go elsewhere and flourish, like a Kirk Cousins he talked about, like a Preston Smith he talked about. And so he said, look, it's not a secret why the Redskins are where they are. And a large part of that reason why is Bruce Allen. So he put a lot of the burden on Bruce Allen as to why the Redskins stink. And again, I love it because, again, his block, all right, on the way out, again, he may never wear the burgundy or gold, but his block on the way out may be the final straw that gets Bruce Allen the hell out of here. We'll see what happens, but everyone's dumping on Bruce at the right time. Bruce was, they went to Bruce for comment on this situation. He tried to downplay it, tried to put some of the blame on Trent and his group, talking about they didn't want to come back and they had already said they wanted out. And he also said he didn't have any comments on this situation and that he's preparing for Green Bay. Shut up. So anyway, I hope that this situation ends in a way that's amicable for everyone involved. Bottom line is, this is how I feel Trent feels, and I can't know this for sure. I can't confirm nor deny this. I'm just taking an educated guess and stab at this thing. If this is how I think it's going in the mind of Trent Williams, this is how I think he wants this to play out. I think there is a 95% chance that he wants out. If you ask Trent, he doesn't want to play for the Redskins anymore. He would just prefer them trade him, move on, everybody part ways, everybody go their separate ways and just be done with this situation. I think there's a sliver of hope that if Bruce Allen is gone, if you're a Redskins fan and you want Trent Williams back, which I'm pretty sure we all do, but I've already come to grips with the fact that he's not going to be back. I've conceded that already. But if you're holding out hope, I think that if Bruce is gone, let's say Bruce gets fired. I don't think he's going to be fired next week. He could be. I talked about that yesterday, but let's just assume he gets fired after the season's done. All right. I still don't think that's going to happen, by the way, but let's assume he gets fired after the season's over. All right. And then Dan Snyder goes to Trent Williams and says, look, man, Bruce was a one-man wrecking crew with that whole situation. And I'm sorry I didn't do more. He's not going to do this. Okay. Again, you're asking for culpability from a man that has never shown 1 ounce of responsibility for any of his actions throughout his entire tenure as Redskins owner. So I seriously doubt you're going to get this. But again, he goes to Trent and he says, look, man, that was all Bruce. And I'm sorry that I didn't do more. I should have done more. I could have done more and I should have. And that's my fault. But you're a Redskins legend. You shouldn't be playing anywhere else. Let's sit down at the table. Let's figure out some numbers to keep you here for the remainder of your career. We want you to be a Washington Redskin. You need to be a Washington Redskin. Let's figure this thing out. Bruce is gone and he's not coming back. And I'm sorry that whole situation played out the way that it did. But we want you here. You're a Redskin and you should be one for life. If he went to Trent and said that, and Bruce is gone and out of the picture, there's a 5% chance that Trent would sit down, he would figure out some numbers that would allow him to finish his career as a Washington Redskin, and I think everyone would be happy. I don't see that happening, though. Bruce is not going to be gone, I don't think. Dan isn't going to approach Trent and take culpability for what his role in this whole situation was and how he didn't step in and say, Bruce, get it done. Fix this. He could have done that. He didn't do that. He's not going to admit that he was wrong in that situation. And he allowed Bruce to do the things that he did, like putting him on the NFI list and pretty much keeping him away from the team. Dan didn't step in, and he's not going to admit he was wrong. So I don't see any of that happening. But I think in the back of Trent's mind, his family is here. His kids go to school here. This is the only NFL franchise he's ever known. He loves the guys in that locker room. He wants to see this thing through. All right. He would love to finish his career here, but it's a small percent chance. He feels hurt. He feels betrayed. And unless there's a heartfelt apology from the guy at the top and Daniel Snyder, and the guy that he can't stand is out of here and not coming back, he's not coming back. And so I think it's a very minute chance that he comes back. I think this ends in a Trent Williams trade. However, I will not rule it out that if those things that I just said happen, which is Bruce is fired and Dan goes to Trent, apologizes, lets him know how much he is wanted, because a lot of what Trent said, it sounded like a guy that wanted to be wanted and didn't sound like an organization that he had poured his blood, sweat, tears, and multiple surgeries into. They didn't sound like they wanted him. They didn't sound like they cared. So if Dan goes to him, sounds like he cares and is sincere in his apology and tells him how great of a guy he is and how good of a player he is and how much better of a guy he is and how they're sorry how this whole thing played out, there could be resolution here in DC. I just don't see that happening. And do you? I mean, let's be honest. Do you see Daniel Snyder taking responsibility, culpability for what has gone on in his role in all of this? It's not happening, guys. And honestly, I don't think Bruce is going to be gone. So Trent's not coming back, okay? But I think there is a very small chance, one that I didn't think existed before. I think there's one now. And again, this article, nothing in this article suggests that Trent wants to play for the Redskins again. So I'm going off of just kind of reading the tea leaves. He can't stand Bruce Allen, and he's the main guy in all of this. And if the Redskins, Trent, you can hear it in the tone, and I didn't hear him say these words, but just reading the article, I can hear it in the tone. I can hear it that he wants to stay in Washington, but they have to come after him hard. It's almost like him being a free agent all over again. And they got to come at him hard, and they got to sell him on the fact that he belongs here. He's supposed to, this is home. You belong here. We want you here, and we're sorry for how everything played out. And the guy that was steering that ship is no longer here. And we're so sorry that it went down the way it did. And I'm sorry for my part, my role in that as well. I think you could get Trent back here. I just don't see it happening though. Anyway, and oh, by the way, the next guy that came in would then have to go to Trent and say, dude, we need you. I want you here. Part of the reason I took this job was because I wanted the chance to coach you. Like, that would have to happen. That's not going to happen. So anyway, I digress. I'm your man, Louie T. Remember, if it's not your man T, it's not the best NFL coverage it could be. And oh, by the way, I am a Redskins fan etched in burgundy and gold. My Redskins spirit will never die. Redskins spirit will never fold until we meet again. Hail to our beloved Washington Redskins. Let me know how you feel about this situation down in the comment section. Do you think there is any chance that Trent Williams dons the burgundy and gold again? Again, I think even if he doesn't, he might have that final pancake block that springs the way to allow us to run away from Bruce Allen and get into the end zone and celebrate his dismissal from this organization. And so even if we don't ever see him in a Redskins jersey again, he may deliver the final block that springs us free from Bruce Allen. And you know what? That would be one hell of a parting gift on the way out the door. So in any event, leave it down in the comment section. Leave a like. Also, subscribe to the Louie T Network if you haven't already done so. And enjoy your weekend. We'll be back R3 after the Packers game. I'll see you guys then. Have a good one.
Louie T Network.